Hey guys, welcome back. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the recent comments from a developer from Respawn. And if you don't know who Respawn is, they are the developers of Titanfall and Titanfall 2. And of course, EA publishes the game, and they are the developers of that game. And Mohammad Alavi is the senior designer on Respawn. And if you don't know who he is, he's been involved in some really huge projects in the past. He's been involved in Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, specifically in the scene where they go into the boat in the beginning of the game and they break in and find the nuclear missile or whatever that is. That's a real famous scene, and he actually designed that scene in that game. And he was the lead designer in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on that famous scene where they go into the airport and all those civilians were executed basically by those terrorists. He was designing those scenes in those games, and of course Titanfall and Titanfall 2 he had a big part in. So this guy definitely is a well-known developer, designer in the industry. And of course, just a few days ago, he guest appeared on Drunk Tech Review. So this is a YouTube channel basically where they have a few drinks and they talk about whatever tech they're going to be discussing for that particular video. So of course they invited him on, and another guy, I don't remember his name, but they invited him on to discuss the Nintendo Switch. They watched the reveal trailer of it, and they talked about the functionality of the system. And basically, two of the guys were, skeptical, but they were gonna give it a pass and say that, hey, let's see what the Switch can do, and basically, give it a chance. And as for Mohammad Alavi, he did not like the Switch at all, and he was pretty much against it. He wouldn't even, drink to it, basically. But before we discuss it too much, let's go ahead and watch that clip, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about.
You're not getting 10 people standing around watching people play on a 6-inch screen. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. I don't see that happening. That just ain't gonna happen. Nintendo, it's a lie. You've lied to my face.
I just thought this was a little presumptuous of them to do. They're like, we're designing a device that's going to be embraced by this community. Like, you don't know that. What games are going to be on it? You know what I mean?
And they're going to be playing on it?
He brings up a really good point, though. Like, no, let me get serious for 1 second here. Like, anybody who tries to basically create something for esports, like, ahead of time without actually it doesn't work. You need to put it out there. You need to put it out there and see what the community wants.
Cheers.
So, this leads, 1 sec. Based on what you've seen, I know we don't have all the details.
Correct.
Ted, would you drink to this?
I was on the fence when I first heard about this thing. I've been a Nintendo fan for a long time, but I skipped the last iteration of their console because I just don't really like where they've been going. They're underpowered and the multiplayer is weird and stuff like that. I will drink to the concept of this because there are things in this video that I've never seen before. The modular controller, the return to cartridges, I mean, I've seen that, but that's just cool. The whole LAN party aspect, so yes,
all right.
I will. And we'll see what happens when it comes out.
No.
I'm not drinking to it. No,
I thought you were, actually.
No.
I'll tell you, just refilled your glass.
I did. I'm gonna tell you, I was excited about it because Nintendo's been in such a niche market recently, like catering to like the handheld and like I'm gonna be honest with you, the kids. They've been so underpowered that they don't have the support of the third parties because they're all making for PC, Xbox One, and PS4.
Okay.
And that's huge.
And it's no different.
I am going to drink to it, mainly because I understand. I think it will be underpowered. I think there's I'm not going to be able to play Titanfall on it.
No.
Can you tell me?
Well, they're not.
No, you're not going to be able to play Titanfall.
Man, no, seriously, no.
That's the same Zelda from the Wii
Come
U.
on, man. We have an audience here. Can I play Titanfall 2 on the Switch?
No.
Okay. But my thing is, the one thing I'll give Nintendo, the idea of simply being able to play on a console with friends, but also being able to go, you know what, I'm going to take this on the go, and it's all the same, seamless. It hasn't been done. Just hasn't been done, and I think it's brilliant. And it's not even a concept that they're showing. They are doing it.
That's very cool. And it's going to
so,
happen. Yeah.
So Nintendo, we're drinking to it. Mo, it's okay. You got your thing.
I'll take a little sip.
Oh man, so basically you can see there that he is not a fan of the Nintendo Switch. In fact, he was laughing like crazy just the thought of having Titanfall or Titanfall 2 come to the Nintendo Switch, and he compared it to basically a Wii U, running Zelda, and that the system simply isn't powerful enough, and Nintendo continues to make underpowered hardware generation after generation, and basically that no way Titanfall or Titanfall 2 is not coming to the Nintendo Switch. And that's fine and everything, and I know a lot of people were really upset, online about his comments and were really offended and everything. I'm not offended personally by what he said. I know that he was drinking and everything, but I don't think he was that drunk, honestly. If you look at his expression on his face, he got serious. He knew exactly what he was saying. He wasn't slurring his words. He said that that game is not running on the Nintendo Switch, and no way. And he was extremely clear about that and saying that the Switch simply isn't powerful enough to do that. And I'm not going to argue whether or not he really knows what the specs are for the Nintendo Switch or not, and what it can do, because most likely he does. He's basically the lead guy at Respawn, and he's in contact with EA, so obviously whatever EA knows about the Switch, he knows too. So I'm not going to argue that, say, oh, he doesn't know what the Switch can do. I think he does know what the Switch can do. Of course, the way he speaks about it definitely doesn't sound respectful, right? It doesn't have to be respectful. Nobody in the industry really has to be respectful. Obviously, this guy was letting loose, and he let it be known that this game was not going to be running on that system. However, it should be pointed out that quite possibly Titanfall and Titanfall 2 could theoretically be run on the Nintendo Wii U, because the Xbox 360 got a port of Titanfall 1, and while it had frame rate problems and screen tearing and didn't look anywhere near as good as the Xbox One version, it still ran and came to that system. So it could be argued that the Switch could run the game Titanfall, maybe even Titanfall 2, at least the multiplayer. If you've seen the single-player campaign of Titanfall 2, it definitely looks a lot more advanced than Titanfall 1. But the multiplayer, I think that the Switch could definitely run that with some work, obviously. I don't know if you guys know or not, but Titanfall and Titanfall 2 both run on a modified version of the Source engine. And the Source engine goes all the way back to Half-Life, Half-Life 2, Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 2. Those games run on the Source engine, and even Call of Duty 4 ran on a modified version of the Source engine all the way up to Call of Duty Ghosts. So the way Mohammad was talking about it was that, hey, the Switch, there's no way it can run Titanfall 2. Well, it probably can run Titanfall 2, but he's basically saying they're not going to put the time and effort into even trying, and obviously the audience probably isn't there, of course, either. And to him, it was just a huge joke, basically. So to him, it was extremely funny. More funny was that he absolutely dismissed it right off the bat, and the system hasn't even launched yet. So that tells you something there, doesn't it? But anyway, my thoughts on that is that since the Nintendo Switch really doesn't have that many games announced for it from third party, it could actually benefit from a game like Titanfall on the Nintendo Switch. It could, actually. I know that the game didn't sell well. It did review pretty good, and people who play the game do like the game. So say what you will about Respawn and Mohammad Alavi, whatever, but the Switch could benefit from having a game like Titanfall 2 on it. So it's unfortunate that he completely dismissed it right off the bat there. And obviously he doesn't speak for EA or anything, so who knows what could happen in the future. Not that I'm saying I want that game on the Switch necessarily, I'm just saying that it could theoretically do well on the Switch because there isn't any other first-person shooters on the Switch. And having a game like that being portable, hey, it could be good. It could be successful. You never know. The point is that we won't ever know unless we actually get to buy these games on the system, right? The developers keep deciding for you, the consumer, saying that no, you're not going to buy that game without giving you even a chance. It makes it kind of difficult for a system to get games, right? It kind of puts the Switch into a difficult situation. The developers and publishers do that and just say, no, we're just not going to put the game on your Nintendo system because nobody's going to buy it and your system's not powerful enough, so we're not going to try. And if you remember about a month or a month and a half ago, I was talking about this when those clock speeds were leaked by Eurogamer and they said it was a Maxwell-based Tegra 1X processor. My concern at that time was that developers and publishers would say that the system was underpowered and was not powerful enough to run their games, which would lead to the Nintendo Switch not getting those games. And I said that is bad, and that is bad. The less games the Switch gets from these third parties, the worse it's going to do, quite honestly. It can't just rely on first party for everything. First party's great and exclusives are great, but it needs to have a robust lineup of games in order to sell well and consistently. Because basically Respawn and EA could bring Titanfall 2 to the Switch if they really wanted to. I mean, just look at the original Nintendo Wii, right? They force-fed Call of Duty games onto that system, even though those games were not designed for that hardware. They forced it onto the Wii, and most of those games sold over 1 million copies each. Despite being extremely underpowered compared to the Xbox 360, the Wii still got those games because it was selling well. But interestingly enough, this is more like the Wii U situation, where developers just said, no, we're not going to port our game to it, it can't run it. blah, 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 right? This could end up being like a similar situation as that. So anyways, guys, I hope other developers do at least give the Switch a chance instead of just writing it off completely, unless they know a lot more about it than what they're letting on, of course. But anyways, guys, I wanted to discuss that with you because the guy was going on and on and on about it, and I saw a lot of comments about it on Twitter, on the forums and everything, so I thought it was worthy of discussing here on this channel. So let me know what you guys think about this. What do you think of Mr. Mohammad Alavi? And what do you think of Respawn? Let me know what you think in the comment section. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll talk to you very soon in the next video. Take care.
Well, they're not.
No, you're not gonna be able to
even
fit
gonna
Titanfall.
develop
No,
it.
seriously, not
That's the same Zelda
Man,
from the
come
Wii
on,
U.
man. We have an audience here. Can I play Titanfall 2 on the Switch?
No.
Okay. So, but
What is happening right now?